substance use disorder. The substance use disorder are those that occur due to recurrent use of alcohol and or drugs that cause dependence or significant social and functional impairment at work, school or home. Some of these that are commonly seen in the community are as follows. The substance use disorder are alcohol use disorder, tobacco use disorder, stimulant use disorder, hallucinogen use disorder, and lastly the opioid use disorder. The first point, alcohol use disorder. The individuals have problem in controlling intake of alcohol and they continue to use alcohol despite personal and social problem arising out of drinking. The person develops tolerance to alcohol and drinks the amount that leads to risky situation or suffers from withdrawal symptoms. The withdrawal symptoms are forgetfulness, tremors, inability to concentrate, delusion and hallucination in case of abstinence. Excessive use of alcohol can predispose an individual for developing a variety of social and health problems besides those associated with intoxication and withdrawal. Besides environmental factors like availability, peer pressure and maladjustment to stress, genetics has also been shown to be a risk factor for the development of an alcohol use disorder. Next, coming to the tobacco use disorder. The tobacco chewing, gutka and smoking damage nearly every organ in the human body, often predisposing to various respiratory disorders including tuberculosis, cardiovascular problems, diabetes and directly causes a variety of cancer like lung cancer, oral cavity cancer, etc. People who do not smoke tobacco but stay near or with smoker are called passive smokers. Means I am not directly smoking but I am staying with a person who is directly smoker. So I am passive smoker. And these are also at increased risk of cardiovascular disease, cancer like lung, oral cavity, respiratory disease like asthma and tuberculosis, ear infection, etc. Next, coming to the stimulant use disorder. The most commonly abused stimulants are amphetamines, cocaine and can be taken orally, snorted or intravenously. Snorted means we are taking it in nasally or in the nasal canal. These are used for increasing alertness, attention and energy. However, these as well increase blood pressure, heart rate and respiration. Symptoms of stimulant use disorder include failure to control and excessive craving till a person is able to procure, development of tolerance and thus increasing requirement over the time. Interference, social functioning and responsibility and withdrawal symptom after discontinue use. Means after discontinuing of use of that particular stimulant, the person will show withdrawal symptom. The withdrawal symptom include fatigue, vivid and unpleasant dreams, sleep problems, increased appetite or irregular problems in controlling movement. Next, coming to the hallucinogen use disorder. Commonly used hallucinogen are synthetic like lysergic acid, diethylamide or LSD, or naturally occurring like psilocybin, mushroom, peyote, etc. The use of these drugs can produce feeling of detachment from one's environment and oneself, and distortion in time and perception and visual and auditory hallucination. Symptoms of hallucination use disorder are same as seen in the drug-like stimulant. Lastly, coming to the opioid use disorder, the most commonly abused drugs available over the counter are cough and cold remedies containing dextromethorphan followed by painkillers. Illegal opioid drugs such as heroin and drugs available on prescription like relievers, oxycodone and hydrocodone, oxytocin have potential for dangerous use. These are meant to reduce perception of pain but can also cause effect on brain leading to drowsiness, mental confusion, euphoria that make them likely candidate for abuse. Some people use them by snorting or injecting also for a higher response which might lead to overdose. Symptoms of hallucination use disorder are same as seen with other drug like stimulant and hallucinogens. So here I am completing the substance use disorder. The next topic is Mental Health Act 2013. The Mental Health Care Bill 2013, which repeals Mental Health Act 1987, was introduced in the Rajya Sabha on August 19, 2013. The key features of the bill are right of person with mental illness, advance directive, setting up of central and state mental health authority, mental health review commission and board, and lastly, decriminalizing suicide and prohibiting electroconvulsive therapy. So, the first point I am describing the rights of person with mental illness. Every person shall have the right to access to affordable and quality mental health care and treatment from services run or funded by the government. Persons with mental illness also have the right to equality of treatment, protection from inhuman and degrading treatment, free legal services, access to their medical records, and complaint regarding deficiencies in provision of mental health care. Next, coming to the Advance Directive. A mentally ill person shall have the right to make an advance directive that states how he wants to be treated for the illness during a mental health situation and who shall be his nominated representative. The advance directive has to be certified by a medical practitioner or registered with the mental health board. The third bill, setting up of central and state mental health authority. Every mental establishment has to be registered with the relevant central or state mental health authority. These are administrative bodies required to register, supervise and maintain a register of all mental health establishment, develop quality and service provision norms for such establishment, maintain a register of mental health professionals, train law enforcement official and mental health professional on the provision of the Act, receive complaints about deficiency in provision of services and advise the government on matters relating to mental health. Next, coming to the fourth bill, that is Mental Health Review Commission and Board. The Mental Health Review Commission is a quasi-judicial body that will periodically review the use of and the procedure for making advance directive and advise the government on protection of the right of mentally ill persons. The board will have the power to register, review, alter, cancel and advance directive. The board will have the power to appoint a nominated representative. The board have the power to adjudicate complaint regarding deficiencies in care of service, receive and decide application from a person with mental illness or his nominated representative or any other interested person against the decision of medical officer or psychiatrist in charge of mental health establishment. The last bill of the Mental Health Act is decriminalizing suicide and prohibiting electroconvulsive therapy. The short form is ECT. A person who attempts suicide shall be presumed to be suffering from mental illness at that time and will not be punished under the Indian Penal Code. The electroconvulsive therapy is allowed only with the use of muscle relaxation and anesthesia. The therapy is prohibited for minor. So these are the bills of Mental Health Act 2013.